Welcome to part 2. We are now talking about Triangle Sum Theorem. So this theorem was actually introduced back in 6th grade. So we're going to recap on some of that knowledge. The Triangle Sum Theorem states that for triangle ABC, as you can see I gave you ABC here, the purpose of this is for you to understand that all of the angles within your triangle can have the sum of 180 degrees. So, with that being said, we're going to write that statement. Angle A plus angle B plus angle C will all add together to give me the degree measure of 180 degrees. The reason for that is because if you were to essentially rip off all of these angles and put them in a straight line, you would see that it would create a line, and all lines have the degree measure of 180 degrees. So that's just kind of like a proof of why the theorem works, okay? So now we can actually find the measure of each angle. So again, this is kind of recapping back to whenever y'all were in 6th grade. So we're going to actually set this up. To find the missing angle, which as you can tell in number 1 is this angle Y right here, what I essentially would need to do was set it up in a way that adds all the 3 interior angles together. So I was given angles X and angle Z. So part 1 to this is to take 77 plus 54, add those together. Obviously, you have calculators now, so that makes this math a lot faster. 131. Now, obviously, I cannot say that this angle Y is 131 because then that would negate the triangle sum theorem of them needing to be 180 because it would be more than 180. So I do have to take it a step further and subtract 131 from 180. So we'll do 180 minus 131, and you can see that you get 49. So the correct way to answer this, so that way you're making sure you're including every angle, is that angle Y equals 49 degrees. What I mean by including every angle is if you just put 49, you're not giving that a name. You're just telling me the number 49. I want to know that you know that angle X is 77 degrees, angle Z is 54 degrees, and that angle Y is 49 degrees. So what I want you to do now is I want you to pause the video and I want you to work out number 2. Hopefully you got that the angle F equals 39 degrees, and as you can see, I added together the 2 angles they gave me and then subtracted from 180 and got 39 degrees. Perfect. So now to bump it up to a more 8th grade standard, we have numbers 3 and 4, but I need you to remember that the statement remains angle A plus angle B plus angle C equals 180 degrees. We have a triangle, therefore we have 3 angles, and sometimes they're not named angles A, B, and C. That's fine. Variables can be changed out. So with that being said, we are going to set this up exactly the way we would in our equation, but this time we will have actual expressions to put in instead of numbers. So we will call angle SA. So let's write that down here. Angle S is 7x, just like that. Angle T is 4x plus 5. Now, we're going to pretend, we'll put a little A next to this, a little B next to this, and then a C, so that way we know what I'm referring to. Now, angle B is added to angle A, so I'm going to put a plus sign. 4x plus 5. Then the same thing for angle C, because that's what the equation says, plus angle C, which is going to be 6x plus 5. And then per the rule of the theorem, all of those angles added together, no matter what they look like, should have the sum of 180. Now, I do not want this part to scare you. This is no different than what we've been doing in the past. These are equations. Notice your equal sign, notice your 180, and notice that you have 7x plus 4x plus 5 plus 6x plus 5. You can still solve this with your don't call me after midnight. You do not have any distribution, therefore you can cross it out. You do have combined like terms. You have 7x, 4x, and 6x. And then you also have 5 and 5 to put together. So if need be, go ahead and do 7 plus 4 plus 6. You'll get 17x. And then, of course, plus the 2 5s, which we know 5 and 5 makes 10, equals 180. Cross that out. The first M is move variable. I do not have a variable on both sides. I just have it on one, so I don't need to do that step. I do need to add or subtract a constant. I need to subtract the constant of 10 over. Get rid of that. I'm left with 17x equals 170. And then simply divide in my last step. Divide by 17, divide by 17. That's going to cancel. X is going to equal. Let's just divide that out. Divided by, ooh, wrong number. Oh, I hit it twice. Sorry, y'all. You do get 10. So I should have gotten X as 10. Now, I do want to tie in because I know a lot of you are probably like, Miss B, can we just type that in our calculator? Yes, you can solve it out by hand because I know some of you love to do that. And then I know a lot of you need that assurance of the calculator, so you could have typed this side into y1, this side into y2. I'm going to show you just so that you can see. 7x plus 4x plus 5 plus 6x plus 5. And then 180 would go in y2. I'm going to make sure my windows are adjusted here. I'm putting it at 200 because of that 180. There we go. Go back to y equals. Do second trace 5. Wait until it says first curve. Hit enter 3 times once you see first curve. And would you look at that? We got x is 10. And it even assured me I did it right because my y is 180, which is the sum of the interior angles of a triangle. So I know that 10 is the number that I need to be able to solve for each of the missing angles. So sometimes questions let you stop right here. They just let you get 10 and you move on. But I want to push you a step further. I want us to actually find the value of angle S, angle T, and angle U. Obviously, not all necessary on every question, but it lets me know that you understand what that X is changing. So S is 7X, but instead of X now, I can multiply by 10. Angle T is 4x plus 5, but now 4 can multiply by 10 and then add 5. And then lastly, angle U is 6x plus 5, but instead of multiplying by x, we can multiply by our 10 and then add 5. So whenever I do 7 times 10, I get 70 degrees. Whenever we do 4 times 10 plus 5, we will get 45 degrees. And then 6 times 10 plus 5 equals 65 degrees. And of course, you could have done that all in your calculator, or some of us are able to do math like that in our head. So that being said, I want you to pause the video and I want you to complete this entire process that we just did. Now, whether you decide to solve it out with Don't Call Me After Midnight, or if you decide to use the calculator, either way is fine with me, but I want you to solve example 4. Okay, so because I know y'all so well, I figured that most of you are going to use our calculator trick, which is fine. So I did go ahead and set my calculator up to match that. So I'm going to go through the process. Second trace 5, let it think, enter 3 times. And as you can see, you get x is 4, y is 180, letting me know that I did it right. So now that I have my x, I can plug in and get all of the values of the angles. And I do want you to notice the angle degrees you get should match the type of angles. Like, so what I mean by that is angle K is on an obtuse angle, I should have an obtuse degree measure. And then the same thing for J and L. Those are acute angles. I should have some sort of acute degree measure, which acute is less than 90 degrees, obtuse is more than 90 degrees, and then of course a right angle is 90 degrees. So, hope this video helps. I'll see you in part 3.